After 5 years behind bars for a serious gun charge, NBA YoungBoy walked out of federal prison with a full presidential pardon, and the world expected him to stay low, learn his lesson, and start fresh. But instead, he's back in the same streets, posting up with weapons, stirring controversy, and making everyone wonder, is this the beginning of a legendary comeback? Or is history about to repeat itself in the most dangerous way possible? Is this really happening? I'm not trying to jump the gun here, but it looks like history might be repeating itself. This guy went through hell for 5 years over a gun charge. And now that he's free, what's he doing? Yep, back in the same spot. NBA YoungBoy, aka, just got out of federal prison after serving time for gun charges. He was on strict supervision, and everyone expected him to lay low, learn his lesson, and stay out of trouble. But instead, he's back in the hood, posted up with weapons, ready to jump back into the chaos he left behind. Just when fans thought this would be his last run with the law, he's back in it again. Behind all the platinum plaques, billions of streams, and sold-out tours, YoungBoy spent years fighting the federal system. He took a plea deal, served his time, and was supposed to keep his nose clean. Then one signature from Donald Trump wiped his slate clean. And now, people are wondering if he's about to go harder than ever. Let's rewind and break down what really went down, from his federal case to the presidential pardon, and why he seems to be diving back into the same lifestyle that landed him in trouble. Here's the deal, fam. This story blends street drama, presidential power moves, and the high-stakes world of the music industry. Guns, pardons, arena tours. This story has it all. The big question is YoungBoy really back to his old ways, or is this just another chapter in one of rap's wildest comeback stories? Social media is buzzing. Clips, rumors, and chatter suggest YoungBoy is back, showing guns, hinting he's returned to his old lifestyle after that pardon from Trump. Fans are hyped, critics are worried, and everyone in the culture is watching closely. But let's separate fact from fiction and really break down what this pardon means legally, culturally, and for the future of one of rap's most polarizing stars. May 28, 2025, changed everything for Kentrell Deshaun Goudon. This Baton Rouge native, who had been grinding through prison and home confinement after pleading guilty to serious gun charges, suddenly received a full presidential pardon from Donald Trump. His probation ended, supervised release was gone, and his federal conviction wiped clean. Legally, he got a fresh start. But hold up, this doesn't mean he's untouchable. The pardon only covers federal charges. State-level charges, past criminal history, and future legal trouble are still real possibilities. It doesn't give him a free pass to do whatever he wants. What it does mean is this: certain legal restrictions tied to that federal conviction are gone. And now everyone's wondering what's next. Is he armed again? Back to the lifestyle that put him in prison? Or is this really a second chance at turning things around? Let's take it back to 2020 and see how this all started. Baton Rouge, Louisiana. NBA YoungBoy and his crew are in the middle of filming a music video, doing what rappers do, making content for their fans. But out of nowhere, law enforcement shows up. What they discover changes everything. Authorities say YoungBoy and his team were allegedly in possession of firearms while being convicted felons. For YoungBoy, this wasn't a minor issue. This was federal serious business. Being a felon in possession of a firearm is a major violation, and in the federal system, it carries heavy consequences. Fast forward to August 2024. After years of legal battles, YoungBoy and his lawyers make a strategic move. They decide to plead guilty to the federal weapons charge. And here's the twist: they move the case all the way from Louisiana to Utah. Why Utah? It was a calculated legal strategy. His team wanted to avoid a lengthy trial that could have ended with even harsher penalties. The plea deal was meant to finally bring some closure after years of uncertainty. By December 2024, the sentence is handed down. YoungBoy receives about 23 months in federal prison, 5 years of supervised probation, a $200,000 fine, and must surrender the weapons involved. This wasn't just paperwork, it was the government officially saying, "Kentrell Goudon, you broke federal law, and here's the price." For a rapper whose brand was built on authenticity, street credibility, and keeping it real, this conviction was a mark that would follow him forever. But the story doesn't stop there. April 2025 brings a glimmer of hope. Thanks to time served and credits earned, YoungBoy is released early but not fully free. He's sent to a halfway house, then home confinement. There are rules, check-ins, restrictions. People are watching his every move. Social media shows glimpses of him still creating, still connecting with fans, still building hype for what's next. But make no mistake, YoungBoy isn't out there breaking the law daily. He knows how people see him. He understands the perception. Fans want that street energy, that authenticity. And unlike the average person who might completely change after a minor run-in with the law, YoungBoy's experiences seem to harden him, make him more resilient. The tougher the system gets on him, the more his image as a street-savvy artist grows. In hip-hop, weapons charges aren't uncommon. Many artists come from environments where protection is survival, where calling the cops isn't always an option. From Lil Wayne to Meek Mill to Playboi Carti. It's an unfortunate reality of the industry. But YoungBoy's situation was different. The timing, his massive influence, and the spotlight on every move he made it bigger than just another rapper facing charges. NBA YoungBoy wasn't just another case, he was a story that captured the culture, the streets, and the music world all at once. By the time NBA YoungBoy got arrested, he wasn't just another rapper, he was one of the most streamed artists in the United States. His numbers on YouTube were insane. Independent releases were hitting charts without a major label pushing them. Every song, every Instagram post, every move he made was followed by a loyal fanbase that hung on his every word. This meant his legal troubles weren't just personal, they were cultural events. Millions were watching, waiting, reacting in real time. Then comes the moment that changed everything. On May 28, 2025, President Donald J. Trump granted NBA YoungBoy a full presidential pardon. The White House confirmed it officially, and the news spread like wildfire. Major media outlets from XXL to ABC News covered it immediately. Think about it, a sitting president used executive power to absolve a rapper convicted of serious federal weapons charges, someone whose music often glorified the lifestyle that got him in trouble in the first place. The pardon wasn't partial, it was complete. Probation, gone. Supervised release, over. Legal restrictions tied to that federal conviction, removed. For federal purposes, it was as if the conviction never happened. For YoungBoy, this was a total reset, a clean slate handed to him, not by the courts, but by the president himself. But this story goes deeper than just celebrity drama or a feel-good redemption. The pardon sparked intense debate. Critics asked, why would a wealthy entertainer get clemency when thousands of non-violent offenders remain behind bars without hope? Some suggested it was political, a way for Trump to connect with hip-hop culture and black voters. Meanwhile, many in the hip-hop community celebrated it. Prominent artists called it a deserved second chance, arguing that YoungBoy's talent and influence made him worthy of moving forward without the weight of federal supervision. The debate became bigger than YoungBoy. It touched on larger issues. Who deserves a second chance? Does fame give you different access to justice? And what message does it send to millions of young fans watching his every move? Then came the tour's announcement, the Make America Slime Again tour, running 42 arena shows between September and November 2025. This wasn't small clubs, this was arenas, reserved for the biggest names in music. It marked YoungBoy's full return to public life, his re-entry into the industry as a free man, without court dates or check-ins holding him back. And that's when the speculation exploded. Social media went wild. People debated whether he could carry firearms again, whether he'd return to the behaviors that got him federal charges in the first place. Some celebrated his freedom, others worried it could end in disaster. One thing was clear, YoungBoy's comeback wasn't just about music, it was a cultural moment, a story of fame, power, and the consequences of the system wrapped up in the life of one of rap's most polarizing stars. He was back, bigger than ever, and the world was watching. He'd just wrapped up a $75 million tour. That's right, $75 million. Yet, somehow, people still picture him carrying guns, ready to pop off at any moment. Usually, it's one or the other. If someone's really living that dangerous lifestyle, they're not selling out arenas. You expect them to do a couple of small shows, maybe even stay off the radar for a while. YoungBoy is unique. He's managed to keep the edge, the image that he might shoot someone today while selling out stadiums tomorrow. That contrast is what makes him fascinating. But here's the kicker most people miss, amid all the hype. Understanding what a presidential pardon actually does and what it doesn't. The pardon wiped clean his federal conviction and the penalties tied to it. No more probation officer check-ins, no more drug tests, no more travel restrictions or rules about who he can be around, at least those connected to the federal case. In that narrow sense, certain freedoms were restored. but social media often oversimplifies things. A pardon doesn't automatically restore gun rights in every situation. State laws and other parts of his legal history still matter. Federal and state regulations interact in complex ways, and different jurisdictions have their own rules on who can legally possess firearms. Even if YoungBoy could legally own certain guns, there are still federal regulations about what types of firearms, how they're acquired, and how they're used. So when people say, YoungBoy can carry guns again, that's an oversimplification. Could he possibly possess firearms legally under certain circumstances? Maybe, depending on state law and other factors. But should he? Is it wise? Given his history and public visibility, that's a completely different question. And does this pardon make him immune from future prosecution? Absolutely not. Then there's the financial side. The tour brought in millions. Promoters booked arenas expecting his drawing power to deliver. That creates immense pressure to maintain his edge, avoid mistakes, and keep everything on track. For context, this isn't the first time a rapper or public figure has received clemency. Alice Marie Johnson got commuted after Kim Kardashian championed her case. Various non-violent offenders have received relief before, but a full presidential pardon for someone as influential and controversial as NBA YoungBoy, whose music openly glorifies the lifestyle that led to his conviction. A different story. This highlights a tension in hip-hop culture, celebrating growth and change versus maintaining the credibility that comes from staying connected to the streets. YoungBoy went through hell for 5 years for having a gun. Now that he's cleared, what does he do? Back to the same lifestyle. Some call him a crash out, someone who just can't learn. It's a complicated reality. When rappers get famous and leave behind the streets that made their music authentic, they're accused of going soft. But when they maintain that street credibility and lifestyle despite fame, they often end up back in legal trouble. YoungBoy sits squarely in the middle of that paradox: street credibility, massive fame, and legal scrutiny all at once. It's a trap that has caught countless artists. And YoungBoy's pardon puts him at a critical crossroads. This isn't just about his choices, it's about criminal justice, hip-hop culture, fame, and accountability. Thousands of people serve time for the same charges he faced, but they don't have the platform or connections to get presidential attention. They face the same pressures but without platinum albums or top-tier lawyers. Does talent create a separate tier of justice? That's the question a lot of people are asking. Public safety is another factor. Gun violence is a serious issue in many communities, and federal weapons laws exist to keep people with violent histories from accessing firearms. When a high-profile artist, whose music often glorifies violence, gets a pardon, it sends a complicated message. YoungBoy has addressed this himself. At times, he's publicly committed to stepping back from violence, telling fans he's done with guns. But with a past like his, everyone knows how quickly the narrative can shift. The spotlight is intense, and every move is scrutinized, whether it's accepting awards in Atlanta or speaking at community events. Culturally, the question arises, should artists be defined forever by their worst moments? Hip-hop has always been about the journey from struggle to success. If transformation isn't allowed, are we holding artists to impossible standards? Fans are split. Some celebrate his second chance, thrilled their favorite artist finally got a break. Others worry it could normalize risky behavior for younger listeners. The industry is watching closely too. Labels, platforms, and promoters are deciding how to handle him, whether to treat this as a redemption story or proceed cautiously. Their decisions could shape how similar situations are handled in the future. Politically, the pardon carried its own weight. Trump issued it while courting hip-hop artists and black voters, sparking debates about politics, race, and culture. Whether it was strategic or a genuine belief in second chances, it brought national attention to questions about justice and fairness. At the end of the day, this isn't just about one rapper or whether he's back to crashing out. It's about power, consequences, redemption, and accountability, and how all those forces collide. It's about how society defines justice and whether that definition changes based on who you are. The real lesson: the criminal justice system isn't neutral. Quality lawyers, federal court strategy, plea deals, and even presidential clemency aren't equally available to everyone. Most people facing federal weapons charges don't get those options. Damn, that gap says a lot about inequality in the system. The pardon shines a light on inequalities we can't ignore, but it's also a lesson about choices. NBA YoungBoy was handed something extraordinary, a legal reset most people could never imagine. The real question is what he does with it. Does he evolve, use his platform for something positive while staying authentic, or fall back into the patterns that got him federal charges in the first place? proving critics right. Right now, he's back to doing his thing, pushing music, keeping the streets alive in his image. He's not stopping violence overnight, and he's clearly not pausing his releases. Slime Cry is on the way, but even in all this, he understands perception. He knows that going gospel overnight wouldn't resonate with his fans. He knows he has to balance authenticity with growth, showing the world he's still YoungBoy while navigating a new reality. Hip-hop itself is at a crossroads. For decades, the genre celebrated authenticity and staying true to your roots. But those qualities often come with risk, tragedy, prison, even death. How many artists have been lost because they felt pressured to maintain street credibility? How many could have become mentors or community leaders if the culture allowed space for growth? So, what happens next for YoungBoy? The Make America Slime Again tour isn't just concerts, it's a test. Every show, every post, every lyric is under scrutiny. If he finishes the tour successfully, stays out of trouble, and uses his platform responsibly while keeping his edge, it could become a blueprint for hip-hop redemption, a demonstration that clemency, when granted to genuine talent, can produce positive outcomes. But if things go wrong, new arrests or controversies, it fuels arguments against celebrity pardons and raises questions about accountability. Future presidents might hesitate to grant clemency to controversial figures. For the culture, YoungBoy's path influences how we think about artist responsibility, separating art from the artist, and the power of second chances. Millions of fans are watching. How he navigates this chapter sends messages about what's acceptable and what's possible. When someone gets a rare second chance, is this genuine redemption, or the start of another cycle of legal trouble? Should presidential pardons extend to high-profile entertainers, or does that create unfair justice? How should hip-hop balance authenticity with growth and responsibility? And fans, we play a role too. Are we celebrating positive choices, or rewarding destructive behavior because it's entertaining? That's a real conversation about justice, redemption, hip-hop culture, and what we expect from the artists we support. NBA YoungBoy's next chapter is being written now. We're all witnesses, and whether it becomes a story of redemption or a cautionary tale, it reflects who we are as a culture and what we believe about second chances. Stay tuned, stay aware, and think critically.